Okay, next up, we have Chee from Nethermind.
Since we got enough time, so I would like to know the crowd a bit. How many of you guys are developers? With a show of hands. Yes, we got many of them at the end. Why are you guys sitting at the end, not in the front? Is it closer to the food? And how many of you guys are writing smart contract or have written smart contract? And I see more hands. That's fantastic. In the EVM space in general, Solidity, for example, right? Probably Solidity. Yep, we have a couple of hands. My name is Chyuan or Chee from the Nethermind team. What I do at Nethermind is that I'm a developer and I'm also a developer evangelist. The meaning that sometimes you can see me giving talks, sharing about Nethermind and sharing about StarkNet in general in talks like this. And what I do normally is that I write code, just like many of you. Yeah, so today's topic is going to be called Warping Solidity to Cairo 1 Manually. You'll see what this title means in a bit. So a quick introduction as to what Nethermind is. This is my company logo. Just put it right there for a bit. Yep. So Nethermind is a blockchain research and software engineering company, meaning that we build tools for StarkNet, for example, tooling, infrastructures, and yeah, I'm going to skip all this. So these are the tools that we are building on the StarkNet ecosystem, WAP, Horus, Juno, and Voyager. So WAP, if you have seen the topic today, WAP is part of the title. I'm going to explain what it does in a bit. Horus is a tool on StarkNet, on Cairo actually, that is allow you to formally verify your Cairo contract. Juno is a client node on Cairo written in Golang by one of the teams in Nethermind. And finally, Voyager is a team that I work for, and the t-shirt I'm wearing. And some of you got swags from the Nethermind booth. Those are Voyager t-shirts. So what Voyager is basically the explorer on StarkNet. So I think every one of you should be familiar with Etherscan, right? Quick show of hands as to who do not. Oh, yes, yay, everyone knows Etherscan. So Etherscan is the explorer for Ethereum. Voyager is the explorer for StarkNet. Simple as that. Quick, how can I say, compulsory shilling of my company. This is the Discord channel of my company. We do have like a small StarkNet corner where teams over here, you get to ask questions and ask questions about the various products that we have built. Just going to put it there real quick. I'm going to show it afterwards as well. And this is our Twitter page, the Nethermind Twitter, where we often share our various developments in Nethermind. So StarkNet development, Nethermind client development, and all sorts of things that the Nethermind team built. So if you're interested to get to know Nethermind, this is where you're able to know more. So Cairo, I don't think we need any more introduction for Cairo today. So I'm going to skip the slides. There's just so many fantastic talks before me and after me about Cairo. So I'm going to skip this. Okay, so back to the title. So warping Solidity to Cairo 1 manually. What does it really mean, right? So WAP, which I did not explain, is a tool that built by the Nethermind team that is able to transpile or translate your Solidity code to Cairo code. So I use it as a verb this time. So the verb that allows you to change Solidity to Cairo. Solidity, many of you have written in Solidity smart contract. It's a language, the most commonly used language in the EVM world. And Cairo 1, the topic for today, it's a language, a provable language, and you can deploy Cairo 1 contracts on the StarkNet. So today, we are going to walk through as to how we are doing this manually. Right, I hope you guys will be enjoying this. So I here have a Solidity contract, ERC20. ERC20, I use ERC20 as an example because it's the most commonly used Solidity contract. So the goal of this presentation is that after the workshop, this talk, every one of you will be confident enough to deploy a Cairo 1 contract. Because I'm going to show you, like basically rewriting your code in Cairo 1 from Solidity is a simple one-to-one mapping, right? So Solidity, we know that we need to start our contract with a contract attribute function body. In Cairo 1, it is very similar. You just have a macro like hash contract and mod ERC20. This is just so easy. Nothing much to share about. And one very important thing about Solidity is that we have storage. So storage is where we save our states, and then we are able to then update the states, reread the states, so on and so forth for your regular blockchain operations. Smart contract is very important to have storage. And in Cairo, this is how you write your state. There's a mistake here. I forgot to delete this. This is state in Solidity, mapping, string. These are the key value mappings. So in Cairo 1, you use legacy map and contract rest to the value. So it is, if you ask me, this is very similar to Solidity. It's just a couple of syntax switches. Just have to remember in your head, instead of writing mapping, you write legacy map and the tuple that has the key value mapping. If you forget, you can refer to this, and then you can now write storage on Cairo. Oh, I need to mention that instead of string, it is now file 256. The technical details, you can ask more about it later in the Q&A session. But yeah, just keep in mind that there's no concept of strings in the world of Cairo 1. Events are something that is commonly used in the smart contract world. What events do is that it tells the change of state in a transaction. So for example, if I make a swap or transfer, the ERC20 will always emit a transfer event. Why is this important? It's important for Block Explorer, like Voyager or like Etherscan, to track the changes of the ERC20 token balance. And then they are able to index the events in a way that they can display to the user in a very UI UX friendly manner. So it is a good practice to emit events in your contract. And similarly, in the StarkNet contract, we have events as well. So what's here is that, what's different is that now an event is an empty function. So you declare events like you would as a function, empty logic. What you need to do now is that you put a macro called events. And this will be the event. So it's very similar, minus that you do not have the index parameter as you would in Ethereum. So yeah, it looks 80% similar. Just a couple of syntax changes if you ask me. That's easy. Constructors. Constructors are also something that you would want in a smart contract. It tells the smart contract that you want to initialize the smart contract with some state. Similarly, in Solidity, in ERC20 in particular, you would want to give maybe the contract a name, a symbol, or even the total supply. If you want to initiate the total supply, you can. In StarkNet smart contract, you expect to have a constructor function as well. So this is how we do it. Very similar as to how you would declare a normal function, except that you need to use like a macro called #construction. Right, cool. Everyone's clear. So view functions are essential also in Solidity. So these are the common use function. So view functions are functions that does not change the state of the smart contract. It is important because you can for example, interact with Explorer via the read function button. We have that in Voyager as well. So you are able to read directly from the smart contract without having the hard time of like writing your code and read. Of course, you can do that, but it's much easier doing that in Explorer if you want to do it quick. So in Solidity, you have to have the view that keyword here. And the difference of that with Cairo 1 is that you just need to put a macro view. So instantly, you're able to read from the name, read from the symbol, and you return the type of the name and symbol. So yeah, that's pretty intuitive. Just extra read function. Yeah. And external functions are functions that you are able to interact and change the state of the contract. I admit the logic. They are being replaced with 3 dots, but you know what's in there. In Solidity, you can either name it public or external. They have slightly different nuances, but we're not going to talk about it today. In Cairo, you just have to decorate with external macro. So far, what you can see is that all events, view functions, external functions, constructor, and storage, they are all very, very similar to what you're used to in the normal Solidity world. So I would expect, like every one of you right now in your head, to say that I can now write a Cairo 1 contract because it's so similar to what you're used to in Solidity. If you forget, you can always refer to this cheat sheet, as I would call it, and then you're able to write. And with a couple of like practice, you remember this in your head by memory. Oh, wait, internal functions. So internal functions are functions that are not being able to call, or private functions are not being able to call by read or write in Explorer. And basically, you just do not include the decorator, the macro, and this will not appear in the ABI and thus not being able to call by from the outside. Yeah, it's the same. And one Solidity includes a lot of like little built-in functions that allows you to do blockchain-specific actions, such as message on sender. So if we are making a transaction to the function and we have message on sender basically respond to you the from address of the transaction. So similarly in StarkNet, the function is called getCallerAddress. So replace message on sender with getCallerAddress, and the property is exactly the same now. And you need to import a library. And yeah. And one important thing to note about a supporting smart contract is that it's atomic, and in a way, so that means that if it reverts, the entire transaction reverts, or the state that was supposed to be applied will get reverted as well. And in Solidity world, use require. So if the sender is not address 0, it has to be addressed as a 0, require, and then it will revert otherwise. So in Cairo 1, you check if the from is a 0 address by importing these two imports from the library. And how would you know the import of the library if you ask me? There's a simple trick of going to the repo and expand the source library, and then over there, all the necessary libraries are there. So you just need to pick and choose what you want and just import. That is a bit more tedious, but it comes with a bit of practice. I don't think this should be a huge hurdle for you not to write Cairo 1 contract. Type max is a bit tricky. So Solidity type max would mean that you are, by default, setting the entire 256 bits as 1s, right? And this requires a bit of a trick in Cairo 1. So one thing I do to set max is that I create a little helper function. So what I do is that this U256, I check if the low bits of U256 is all 1s and the high bit of U256 is all 1. And the reason of doing that is because in Cairo, U256 is being represented by 2 elements. So we need to check if they are both max. Yeah, so this is a bit tricky, but not too difficult. And we talk about declaring of events. Now we should talk about how do you emit events. In Solidity, you need to have that emit keyword, but in Cairo, you just have to call the function as you would, as a normal function, and then it will be automatically emitted in the transaction logs. And one thing that I'm very happy to talk about and improve on, people have been asking the StarkNet team, me or whoever that is developing on Cairo, like how do I write loops in Cairo 0? So I think as of a couple of weeks ago, loops is officially supported. And this is very weird for me to say this in a developer-centric talk, but loops are here. What does it mean is that in 1 month, the ecosystem of Cairo 1 has gotten better, and it will only get better from now on. So expect more user-friendly, DX-friendly ways of writing your code, and loops is one of them. So this is how you introduce loops. And and so yeah, that's the end of my presentation, and let's throw in some links to our Discord and to the page. And thank you, and hope you enjoy it, and I hope you start writing Cairo 1 contract from now on. Cool. Any questions? Oh, we have one. Yes.
What are the pros and cons of using this versus, let's say, a VM like Kakarot?
Kakarot basically uses Cairo 1 to write the entire system or backend, so to say. It's an entirely different, it's not fair to compare them one-to-one because they serve different purposes. Cairo 1, it's a language that allows you to write provable language, in this case, a smart contract. Kakarot uses Cairo 1 to develop a system in such that it's able to, you then able to deploy Solidity on the Kakarot running client. Yeah, so I wouldn't say, I mean, difference is a bit of a hard way to put it, but they serve different purposes. One reason why the Kakarot team wants to use Cairo 1 is that they want to able to generate proofs from the execution of the EVMs. And because Cairo 1 is a language that is very easy, Cairo 1 is a language that supports writing, creating proofs, generating proofs, they then use Cairo 1 to write an EVM, and that is called Kakarot. And because EVM supports Solidity, you're then able to compile your Solidity code down to EVM, put in Kakarot, and hence able to utilize the power of Cairo and proofs to, I don't think you say that anymore, proofs to, yeah. So it's an entirely different thing. They take a different approach from the traditional ZK EVM because they're using Cairo 1 as language instead of writing circuits. Yeah. Thank you.